You thought he was done?
You thought he was done? You thought the takes were too hot to handle? You better think again. He's back with even more scorching opinions, more controversial predictions, and the kind of truth bombs that only Zain Bando can deliver. If you missed the first round, prepare yourself. This is the follow-up you've been waiting for. It's time for Zain Zinger, Part 2. Another certified hit from the Empty the Bench Network. Here's your host, Zain Bando.
Hey, what's up, everyone? We are live. It is Zain Zinger Part 2. Happy Sunday morning to you all. Hope you all are doing fantastic on this Sunday morning. Again, Sunday, January 11th. My name is Zain Bando. So glad to be here. This is a new edition of Zain Zinger Part 2. It's the first full week edition in 2026. It's obviously this past week was a bit of a shorter week, New Year's and that stuff, but it seems like everybody is getting into the flow of everything. Let's get a few particulars out of the way first. Zain Zinger Part 2, you can catch the live version right now across all different forms of social media and, of course, YouTube. Of course, that would be youtube.com/EDB Network. You could also catch this edition over on my YouTube channel. It's simply just my first and last name. Pretty sure the handle for that is Zain Bando 99. Speaking of Zain Bando 99, of course, you can also check out my social medias over on that handle as well. What I was trying to say was I was trying to make it as symmetrical and seamless as possible with that front. And then, of course, as I just alluded to, Kick, Twitch, and so much more. So that's where you can catch me. We have 6 people in here right now on this fine Sunday morning. It kicks off a pretty exciting day of Sunday content. It's going to start with me for about 30 or so minutes, maybe a little bit longer. This is not usually when we do these streams, but it happened to work out because of the NFL postseason. And then you will get Gridiron and Gurus with Grant Winsauer, Michael Rapolo, and Ben Cruz, I'm pretty sure as well. So check those guys out when you can. And as well, if you can, please be sure to check out all of the other content that we have across the network. And in fact, to do so, just a shameless plug, you can go to youtube.com/EDB Network. And of course, this is an extension of Bando's Breakdowns. You can follow the show, Bando's Breakdowns, at Bando's Breakdown. And speaking of Bando's Breakdown, because I could say it now, episode 73 will air Friday, January 16th. 3 Eastern, noon Pacific. Kind of teased it earlier this week that it would be a bit of a bigger episode because we will have a guest on the show. Excited to tell you who that guest is in the coming days here. Still keeping it under wraps because it is a pretty big one. But again, as I alluded to this past week, it is one that is instrumental or was instrumental in the making in the happenings, if you will, of the Music City Bowl between Illinois and Tennessee, which was the bowl game I attended. But enough of that. Let's get to the particulars, starting out with the elephant in the room. The Bears beat the Packers somehow, some way, by some miracle, 31-27, one of the best Bears games I've ever seen in my entire life. I've watched a lot of Bears football. It's without question the greatest Bears-Packers game I've ever seen, and it is not even a question. Before we get into everything, though, let's do the honors here, the right way, and let's dig into some cheer if you're a Bears fan here, because trust me, you'll want to see this. And again, shout out to all of you that are streaming live, seeing that the Twitter community currently is active and engaged. All right, one second. By the way, just as a heads up, as I grab this, the Bears social media admin team is undefeated. Here we go. So let me grab this for you guys really quick. We have to start out the vibes. We got to start them off really, really high this week, and we got to do it the right way. So here we go. Here we go.
You go into the tournament coming off of 2 losses, man. You go into the tournament off of 2 losses. You look up at halftime in this game, and it's 21-3. No panic. No panic. None of it. Built for pressure. That's you guys. And that's the first one. That's the first one. All right? That's what we had to do. All right? Now I got 3 game balls here. First one, all right, we had 8 catches, 130 plus yards.
We're so thankful, and to be here, and for all you guys, I'm proud of everyone here. But that's we got to keep this thing rolling. Let's enjoy the out of this.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah! Hey, defense, that a way to step it up there in the second half. Right? That a way to step it up. One guy caught my eye, and it might not show up on the stat sheet, but he was around that quarterback the entire second half. Montez Sweat!
It's just a credit to everybody in this room, bro. I wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here without y'all.
Tell you what, man. 4th and 10. I don't think either one of his feet was on the ground when he threw this ball. But it's just straight ice.
I said last night, you make your money in the regular season, but in the postseason, legacy, your name, everything, and so that's us. That's us. It's not me. I'm not, obviously, game ball or whatever. That's us. Us. I want to keep going. We have to get better. All right. We have to start. We have to be on the details. We have to execute, pin all of that to be able to get where we want to go. And I want to be here. I want to do this with y'all. Yes, sir. So it starts tomorrow. Starts the next day. Let's go, bro. Hey! 15 years, they said, it's the, haven't beaten, Green Bay or whatever since, whatever, right?
Talk heavy.
Look at this guy right here. First playoff win. Everything he's done for us as a coach, everything the other coaches have done for us. And it started with him, with bringing in everybody and all of that, right? And for me personally, he's been get emotional. For me personally, he's been monumental in my life so far.
Yeah.
And
first playoff win as Chicago Bears. You make sure when you talk to the media, you talk to them how this crowd tonight made a difference. They made a difference, all right? Man, I'm so proud of you guys. To do what you just did, I said it at halftime, right? This is one that you'll never forget. Yes, sir. This is one you'll never forget, all right? Bring it on in. Bring it on in. Good, better, bad. Never let it rest. Good gets better. It better gets better. Bears down 3. 1, 2, 3.
If that isn't awesome, I don't know what is. I mean, that is without question one of the best and most recent memorable Bears home games that you will ever see. And to see him get his first playoff win in that fashion is just straight up unbelievable. Let's talk about both of those throws. Obviously, the first one being to Roma Dunze. Ben Johnson was a little bit too ahead of himself. It was 4th and 8 when Caleb threw this pass. It was to the right. It was kind of awkward the way his foot was planted, but man, that's some USC stuff right there. That's some stuff he did back in college, and that's what made him unbelievable. At that level, obviously he couldn't bring USC to the promised land, which is what a lot of people thought he was going to do in college, but it's cool to see that the Bears' number 1 overall pick, their investment in him has fully paid off, and I just think it's awesome, and he deserves, again, all the credit in the world. Just knowing that he was able to go out and lead those guys to a win. But yeah, I mean, the credit really has to go to everybody. In the second half, you just felt an energy about the Bears. The first half, they looked slow. They couldn't take advantage of opportunities. They weren't getting turnovers. They were letting Green Bay score on them. They were letting Green Bay run the ball whenever the Bears wanted them to. It just wasn't a very clean game, but it was clean in the fourth quarter, and it was clean where it mattered. Obviously, that can't be the realm going forward, going into the next game. Obviously, we don't even know who the Bears will play in the next game, of course, but it's one of those where you got to look back on it and say, okay, this was a great win. How can the Bears build off of it now? And this is one of those losses for the Packers where you just go in and you scratch your head. This is another one of those Matt LaFleur losses where you're like, how in the world did they let this slip away? All they needed was a couple first downs, and they were gonna win. And it's almost like they hit a wall. And that's what's happened to them the last 5 games, and particularly the last 3 games or so, where they just haven't showed up. They haven't showed up in full strength. And there were a couple of games mid-season where they won some games they probably shouldn't have. And then some other games, too, the Carolina one being a prime example of that, which we'll get to Carolina in just a second. Carolina is now out of the playoffs. They were one and done yesterday to the Rams. But again, the Panthers beat the Packers during the regular season. And I don't know if that was a precursor to what the Packers' collapse was going to eventually be, but it's one of those where you just go in and you go, how in the world does this even remotely happen where, this Packers team looks like it's invincible at the beginning of the season, and it looked like Jordan Love was at 100%, and it looks like it was going to be the Packers in Detroit rolling through the division, and you get a Bears team that wins the division at 11-6. A 6-game improvement from a year ago. And then you get a Detroit team that was extremely shaky, and you get a Minnesota team with quarterback issues. It was almost the perfect storm if you're a Bears fan to know that this is, kind of what this team had and what they were supposed to do. So this turnaround may be surprising to the general public, but if you look at it from a holistic standpoint, stars are aligning. It's really as simple as that. So the Bears win, advance to the divisional playoffs. It's only the 3rd time in NFL postseason history that the two teams have played one another, and now the Bears lead that series all time in the postseason 2-1. Whether that counts for something, I don't know, but I think it's important to note the Bears in this rivalry, since Caleb has gotten there, it was done pretty well. They've won when it counts, and I'm pretty sure now, if my math is mistaken, somebody can correct me, but that's now 3 wins for Caleb Williams over Green Bay since his arrival in Chicago. If you include the Week 18 win walk-off field goal a year ago, when it didn't mean anything for the Bears to go into Lambeau and win that game for pride and stability, knowing that Ben Johnson was on his way to the Windy City from Detroit. But nonetheless, the Bears win. And in fact, let's talk about what are my wild card survivors going into today, because we're on the topic of the NFL, and we will also talk about whether or not my Super Bowl prediction is still alive, which I may have hinted at it a second ago, but I guess that's actually a nice segue to it. So moving over to my survivors for today, we have 3 more games left in the NFL to officially determine who is playing in the divisional playoffs. We have the Bills playing the Jaguars in the early window. We like the Bills in that one. We actually like the Bills to go to the AFC Championship game and lose to the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. The second game we have is going to be critical for who the Bears play on next weekend. We don't know when the game is going to be, but it's going to be San Francisco versus the Eagles, and of course, the Bears will play the winner of that one. That game is in Philadelphia because the Eagles won the NFC East and the 49ers lost the NFC West to the Seattle Seahawks in the game's final week of the regular season. So there's that. And then the nightcap game, the Monday night game, if you will, potentially Aaron Rodgers' final game in Pittsburgh, and potentially if they lose his final game, or if it loses rather, you got to be formal and proper on that. If it loses, meaning Pittsburgh, it could be Rodgers' final game in his NFL career. They are taking on the Houston Texans. And see, I did it again. I'm not going to correct myself now. But those are the 3 games. And to give you the other 2 picks, we like the Eagles at home, and we also like Pittsburgh at home as well. I just think you're asking Houston to do too much. You're going into a hostile environment, and you got to keep the vibes rolling, man. I think Aaron Rodgers being in the playoffs is better for the storylines of this postseason. Because if you look at the quarterbacks that are remaining, you're obviously going to have Williams advance, and then of course you had Stafford advance yesterday. So that's an old guard and a new guard. That's kind of cool. Then you have Josh Allen, who's been around a long time. You have Trevor Lawrence, who's been around a long time. So you're going to get one of those 2 quarterbacks in. You're going to get Jalen Hurts or Brock Purdy. Both of them are now proven veterans. And then you're going to get C.J. Stroud, who really has yet to have his breakout playoff moment. If he can do it Monday night, rather. I keep thinking that game is tonight. There's only 2 games today. My apologies there. If C.J. Stroud can do that Monday night, he'll be part of that new guard regime, if you will. So you're going to get some fresh faces, but it's always good to have veterans. And clearly, the game I was missing. I'm sorry. The game I was missing tonight's game is New England and the Chargers. My bad. So actually, that even furthers my argument even more. You're going to get one of 2 young-ish quarterbacks, more so Drake May being a little bit younger than Justin Herbert. But my point in saying it is this: you're going to have fewer veteran quarterbacks in this postseason as it shrinks and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller as the postseason rolls along. I think that's very important to note as well. So those are my survivors. And by the way, I didn't mention I like New England over the Chargers. That is my Super Bowl pick for the AFC. And speaking of my Super Bowl pick, is it still alive? The answer is yes. We have a perfect bracket. Somehow, through day 1 of the NFL postseason, we have a perfect bracket, ladies and gentlemen. It looked impossible through 3.5 quarters. But oh my goodness, we somehow, some way have a perfect bracket because I don't know, man. I'm kind of a genius. I don't know. We did well in the regular season, as I said, 170 plus wins. So I mean, hey, there's nothing to sweat at. So I can't be disappointed. And yes, somehow, some way, my Super Bowl prediction is still alive. And even if my bracket busts today or starts to bust today or even next week, as long as the Rams are still in the playoffs, that's all that matters because I have them winning the Super Bowl. So yes, my Super Bowl prediction is still afloat. All right, let's move on now. College football playoff. Who am I picking in the national title game to win it all? And for those of you who've been moving under a rock, the national championship game is very unique. And I'm sorry, SEC fans, you can cover your ears, but hello, for yet another year in a row, the SEC is not represented in the college football playoff. And as someone who's a Big Ten guy at heart, this is music to my ears because let's see, because if you look at this is fun because all the SEC fans like to be crybabies, if you want to say, oh, we have the best conference, and oh, it doesn't, it's like to be in the you guys sucked in the bowl season, and you guys sucked even worse in the playoffs, considering that you guys don't have a team left in the whole dang tournament. So nonetheless, pretty damn happy to know that the Big Ten has a chance to win its third title in a row. Except this time it would be 3 different teams, not 1, not 2, but 3 different teams in 3 different years. Obviously, Michigan in 2023, Ohio State last year, and of course, it could be Indiana this year. So, which, by the way, if Indiana wins, I'm just saying for any of the Ohio State fans out there, it would further validate the narrative that Ohio State actually played a pretty damn good schedule, considering that it's only 2 losses were to the Big Ten champion and the ACC champion, or excuse me, and the ACC runner-up should have been the ACC champion rather, and they both played in the national championship, and potentially Ohio State's 1 of 2 losses could be to the national champion, regardless of who it ends up being, considering that they're playing each other. So how ironic is that? You usually don't see that. And to cut to the chase, Indiana's winning the national championship. You have Fernando Mendoza. You have all this talent. You have Kurt Cinetti. I mean, Kurt Cinetti is his own different beast. And I was talking about this last week on episode 72. And I was just saying how Kurt Cinetti is essentially the Nick Saban right now, the modern day version of his teacher, if you will, in the Big Ten. I mean, that is how he runs his program. It is like a professional program where there are standards and there are expectations, but at the end of the day, that guy wants to win as bad as anybody. And it's obvious and it shows, and it's clear that he is the moniker for what college football is going to be moving forward. And I don't see how Indiana loses. Miami better be ready to go because Indiana put a domination on the Oregon Ducks, made them look stupid. I feel bad for Dante Moore. His line was terrible, and there were 21 points off turnovers, which obviously dictated the outcome of the game. You can't tell me it didn't. So that's something to bear in mind as well. I just think it's going to be a good game, but it's going to be a game where if Miami doesn't come out hot early, it's going to be one of those games where you go, okay, this is going to get ugly, and this is going to get ugly fast. I don't know if it's going to get as ugly as the Oregon game did the other night, but I can tell you that if Miami doesn't jump out to an early lead or at least make something happen, it's going to be a long night for the Hurricanes, and certainly not going to be a good night for Michael Irvin as he'll be along the sideline, I'm sure, He's been all into the Hurricanes this entire postseason run, and now to see that Mark Cuban is out on the sidelines watching Indiana, it's clear that there's a lot of bigwigs interested in their alma maters and a lot of very famous people, and I can't blame them. So it's cool. And as an Illinois fan, I can't believe I'm doing it, but I have to root for Indiana because it's literally the best story in college football. And I don't usually root for teams, but gosh darn it, is Indiana a great story. And to be able to have covered this team almost all year from an outside lens, I can say it now. I was supposed to be at the Big Ten championship when they beat Ohio State. The weather kept me away. But that's a game that I know if I went to, I'll have never forgotten that. But maybe it's God's way of telling me, Zan, you gotta wait. You gotta wait to go to a Big Ten title game until your school is in it, or one of your two schools are in it. Which, if you were to tell me who I think has a much higher trajectory of going one before the other, I tell you Illinois has a better shot to go in the next 5 years than Northwestern, although this year may have been the team, but nonetheless, we're not going to talk about that. My point in saying it is, though, is maybe this is God's way of telling me that I got to wait for one of my two alma maters to go to the title game. But nonetheless, though, a fun CFP so far. National championship game 1 week from tomorrow night at Hard Rock Stadium, Miami Gardens, Florida. If you don't have a ticket, or if you don't have a connection, or if you don't have an invite, you're probably not getting an invite, because this ticket is the hardest ticket in college football to possibly get. Some are going on the resale market for $6,000 a piece. So not an easy ticket whatsoever, but one to behold for sure. Should be a great game, only on ESPN, and it's going to be mega casted everywhere and all that good stuff. So that said, there's all that. That is the national championship capsule, if you will. And then to round out the stream, Zuffa Boxing has announced its first card. I don't think the full card is announced fully yet, but we do know that Callum Walsh is going to be headlining the card. It's at the Apex. It's the night before UFC 324, which begins the UFC's Paramount Plus era. Very important to note that you'll be able to get every UFC event for a fraction of the cost that you got 8 of them with or so for the last however many years. And it'll be as easily accessible as possible to be a UFC fan. So if you want to become a boxing fan, check this one out. Callum Walsh has been on the scene for quite some time now under Dana White's support. Freddie Roach is Callum Walsh's trainer. I've known about Walsh ever since before he became a big deal. So I'm excited to see what he can do. I'm excited to see how he looks on a big stage in Vegas. And tickets are inexpensive. Last I saw on AXX, you could get those tickets for $170. And as someone who's been to the Apex before, it is an unbelievable experience. And now that fans get to go, and it's I guess it still is going to be VIP a little bit, but as less intimate as before, should be a fun atmosphere. With a minute to go, though, just wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in to Zan Zinger Part 2. I really appreciate it. My name is Zain Bando, the host of Bando's Breakdowns. And again, if you missed any of this, please be sure to catch today's episode whenever you want. Whether you watched it right now, one of the 19 plus people who did, or you're watching it after the fact, it'll be everywhere. Again, YouTube, Kick, Twitch, X, and so much more. For everybody here at ETB, my name is Zain Bando. Stay tuned, because in about 30 or so minutes, you will hear from Ben Cruz, Michael Rapola, Grant Winsauer as they break down everything in the NFL leading up to the Sunday kickoffs. But until next week, I'm Zain Bando. Thank you so much for checking out the stream. Have a great Sunday. And if your team is still in the playoffs, hope the best for them as they survive in advance to the divisional round. Until next Sunday, I will see you guys soon. Have a good one and take care. Cheers.